The other thing that jumped out at me that probably the thing that caught me the most off guard was what happened with reward factor. You look at the thresholds. So you've got the with improvement and the without improvement, right? Most of them, for the most part, did what we expected them to do and kind of come back down to the stars 2018 to 2021 kind of range. The one that didn't was that 85th percentile for the mean, and I personally I was shocked. That one last year for stars 2022 it jumped up to 4.34, 4.35, something like that, and we were expecting it to come down to kind of in that 4.15-ish range, but it stayed at, I think it was 4.28, which, what does that tell you? I think it's saying it's really showing, and this is for the without improvement side, that those plans that are really high performing and taking advantage of that 40 basis point bump of reward factor, they're really beginning to kind of create a gap between all the other plans. And I think that's why we're seeing that shoot up. But interested and curious to see if you guys have other thoughts on that.
I think that's we're seeing that play out kind of across the board. And I know some other people, some of our clients said last week in a meeting that, they've done some analysis and even though half of the cut points got easier, right? It's not necessarily half of the high performing cut points, right? It's different story. There's so many storylines in these cut points. I think, well, I know there are, but exactly what you just said, Nick. I think the high performing plans continue to. I think they're creating more and more separation, in cut points, right, or in performance in general, which is playing out. I think in that reward factor threshold. I believe, yeah.
You remember the phenomenon a few years ago where if you'd been in this game, right, if you'd been a Medicare Advantage player for a while and you knew about stars and its importance, that sort of gave you a sense of advantage, right? And then at the same time, it was something where as new entrants came on, they'd sort of bring down the performance, right? Because we're all graded on a curve. This is all a distribution. One of the things that I want to pay attention to is when the data comes out for 2023 stars is among those who are relatively new to stars, right? Are they coming in terms of that sort of bottom 20th percentile performance that we've associated with in the past, or are they squeezing in the 80th, right? And I say that because, Mick, part of what you're describing is sort of, that cut above kind of growing further and further.